How's it going, everybody? I am ZBilbs, and I am back here today with another end of the year list for metal music. And today I'm going to be going through my top 25 favorite metal songs of the year. This is incredibly hard to put together because obviously there's a lot of songs. Albums can be difficult in themselves to put in a list, but songs are so much more like just constantly changing opinions and stuff. So honestly, this list by tomorrow will probably be different somehow. So take it with a grain of salt. Also, remember going into this that this is just my personal list, so this is not some sort of like objective view. I'd say the vast majority of the songs on this list are going to be power metal because that is my favorite genre of metal. So if you don't like power metal, probably not the list for you. But either way, let's get going on this list. And starting out, I'd like to, because I am limiting it to 25 and there's so many songs, I want to go over some honorable mentions. And I want to pick a handful of bands who don't have a song on these top 25s and say my favorite song from all of these different bands, who didn't make the top 25. So let's just hammer them out. I'm not going to give any explanation for time's sake. I'm probably going to try to be concise as I can on this list, just because it is a lot to get through. But if you want more explanation, I'll just ask in the comments and I'll try to elaborate a little bit more. But let's see, we've got This Is Mongol by The Who, The Incantation by Kirk Hammett, Hadron by Amon Amarth, Soldier On by Megadeth, Synchro Anarchy by Voivod, Zeit by Rammstein, The Wicked Rule the Night by Avantasia, Sweet Evil Son by Candlemass, and Seventh Rum of a Seventh Rum by Ailstorm. Now, once again, those are all honorable mentions, really good songs that missed out on the list, or at least bands who missed out on the list, and one song from them each. But either way, let's get into my actual top 25. There's a handful of bands who are going to be on here a handful of times, and you'll probably, if you know me, you'll know a lot of these bands are some of my favorites, but other ones are more newer ones that I've picked up. But either way, let's get going, starting off at number 25. At 25, I've got one that is kind of a surprise to me this year, but it was a very good song, and that is Slight and Shadows by Without Waves. Now, if you've seen my favorite albums of the year list, you'll notice, you remember that Comedian by Without Waves. This was an album that snuck up on me. I had no idea what Without Waves was, and I just tried it out, and it was like, oh, this is really interesting. Not exactly my particular favorite style of metal in this weird, like, progressive metalcore style, but a few songs here and there were just absolutely spectacular, and definitely Slight and Shadows was my favorite from that album. It's got a really kind of subdued, haunting atmosphere. That main chorus is just done beautifully. It was just like, the singer is just excellent, and then they eventually, it starts off like a quiet and eerie, and eventually builds to add a couple, like, metalcore screams for intensity. And it's just a very well produced, just a very haunting, interesting song. So that is why I got Slight and Shadows at 25. Moving on to 24, I've got The Final Lullaby by Epica. Now, this album had a lot of really good songs, a lot of really good collaborations, and I think this is just a good example of Epica firing on full cylinders. This is a collaboration with a band or person called The Shining, or Shining. I have no idea who that is, but it was really well done. It felt like a nice duet between, the Epica singer, like Simone, and the guy, the Shining singer, and it was very well done, of like the high symphonic of Simone, and then the, more less symphonic guy voice. And obviously it was also just Epica at its best, meshing that, a grandiose symphonic style with a more just heavy, awesome metal style. It wasn't quite like they meshed like in this song right here, which I also like. Oh yeah, the Great Tribulation. I'm not going to put it there then. That's another good example from the album of good meshing two genres. That was like death metal and symphonic metal. And this one is just kind of like just solid like hard rock or just straight up metal and symphonic stuff. And it was done very well. Got just awesome, powerful chorus. So Find a Lullaby, excellent song. That's coming in at number 24. Moving on to number 23, I've got one of my favorite bands with an absolutely banger of a song, and that is Call Me Little Sunshine by Ghost. Now, this is one of their singles that they released before this album came out, and this was definitely, it was very hard between this one and Hunter's Moon. Those were both two excellent singles. I'd say Hunter's Moon probably has the better, more powerful chorus, but if you're talking about which is just a more just interesting kind of unique riff to it, Call Me Little Sunshine, that like, you know, that main riff is absolutely excellent. This song also feels a lot doomier than a lot of stuff they've had before. It gives me vibes of Opus Eponymous. Obviously Tobias Forge, his vocals are excellent just like usual. I think this one's up for a Grammy this year, so I think well deserved. So while there is a couple songs on this album I like more, this is definitely a really solid standout from the album and for Ghost songs in general. So let's Call Me Little Sunshine at 23. Moving on to 22, I have got my first of quite a few Sabaton songs that are going to be on here, and that is Christmas Truce. This was their first song released on their The War to End All Wars album. And actually, I'm going to make a point with this because this was actually a single released in 2021, and I believe. And I'm counting it for 2022. I'm going to make a rule going forward that if there's a single that's for sure released for an album and it's released the year before the album actually comes out, I'm not going to count that song. If it makes it to an end of year ranking, I'm not going to count it until I'm going to include it with the year the actual album came out. So, like, for example, Lux Eterna by Metallica might have made the list this year, but because the album is coming out in 2023, if that were to make an end-of-year list, I'm going to count it then. If it is a single that's not for sure with an album, like there is another on this list, then I will include it in the year that it came out. But, sorry, side tangent, Christmas Truce, it's an excellent song. This is Sabaton. You know, they've still got their very signature style, but they take it in a fun new direction in a Christmas song. Like, it's got that, like, almost, you know, Carol of the Bells or whatever, you know, Christmas style. You got Joachim on piano. I had no idea he could play piano until this song came out. I remember seeing this in concert, and it was absolutely spectacular. You got everyone's flashlights in the air. Joachim is playing the piano on stage. It's still got that fun power metal Sabaton grit to it, but it's also got that just fun, nice, melodic Christmas style, and overall makes for just an incredibly memorable and incredibly great Sabaton song. Moving on to 21, this is ahead just by a bit, another Sabaton one, and that is Soldier of Heaven. Now, I debate back and forth between these two because they're both very great and very different. Because Christmas Truce is more of a, you know, a light, fun, you know, ballad song. Soldier of Heaven is much more of a classic Sabaton anthem. And for me, since I tend to prefer those awesome, you know, power metal anthems, I give the edge to Soldier of Heaven by a bit. This is, you know, just Sabaton doing what they do best. It's an incredibly catchy chorus, incredibly powerful, awesome riffs. They've even got this weird, like, I don't know, like techno, like 80s vibes at the beginning. Almost sounds like Never Gonna Give You Up, but that just gives even a little bit more to the unique factor and overall makes just a really great, memorable Sabaton song. Moving on to number 20, I've got a Hammerfall song, and we have got Hammer of Dawn. Now, this is the title track from their album, Hammer of Dawn, and this is, once again, this is just Hammerfall doing Hammerfall, and it sounds really good. A really great use of the backing vocals here. It gave me vibes of Any Means Necessary, which is good, because that's an absolutely classic Hammerfall song. And this is a really nice mix of those backing vocals with Joachim Cans, his, you know, really high, you know, operatic voice almost. Honestly, not too much to say. This is just really a really good bread and butter Hammerfall song, but just done really well, really interesting, super fun, catchy chorus. So yeah, that's Hammer of Dawn at number 20. Moving on to number 19, I have got Secrets of the American Gods by Blind Guardian. This is the first of a handful of Blind Guardian songs you're gonna see on this list. Because man, their new album was just packed with absolute masterpieces, and this definitely was a masterpiece. This has probably got, I mean, it's hard to say, but this might be the best vocal performance by Hansi on this album. It almost feels even the most symphonic of the songs on the album. Just that main chorus when he goes, "The secrets of the American gods," like, goes so freaking hard, dude. So, I mean, this album, all of the songs feel like very distinctly Blind Guardian, but also distinctly diverse. And this is just one of the most just like operatic, powerful songs on the album, and it was incredibly good, incredibly memorable. And so that's why I've got Secrets of the American Gods at number 19. Moving on to number 18, I've got another Epica song, and that is Sirens of Blood and Water. Now, this one might be a little controversial. I mean, I'm sure most of them are, but because, I mean, when I heard it, I was like, this is barely even a metal song. I still kind of stick by that. But, screw it, Epica's a metal band, and they released this song, so I'm going to count it, because this is really just like it's just straight up a symphonic song, or almost like a pop song, because it's got Simone and then two other female singers who I have no idea who they are, but together they make just a freaking awesome song. Like, whether metal or not, I don't care. This song is awesome. I love the story behind it, how it's like a different telling on like the original story of Ariel with like a dark twist to it. Of all three singers together with their vocals just complement each other. It sounds just symphonic and fun and powerful and just really awesome with some good solid metal riffs woven in there. Whether that actually makes it metal or not, I don't care. It is a great song. So that is Sirens of Blood and Water at, did I say 16? Because it was 18. So at number 18. Moving on to number 7, I've got another Ghost song, and that is Spillways. This is a song, it's a really weird, unique song. It sounds very distinctly, 70s or 80s. I've seen that Ghost these days, they're being compared a lot to even like ABBA or something like this. And I guess suppose that's kind of like this. It's kind of like the Ghost distinct style, given that I know it's like a classic kind of pop rock, classic rock grooves to it, but it still has that distinct, fun kind of Ghost doom metal edge to it that just really makes it awesome. This is just, once again, it's just Ghost doing really good. It's incredibly catchy chorus. It's got some fun, chunky riffs to it, although it isn't quite as heavy as I'd like Ghost to be. That still doesn't make this song bad by any means. Obviously, I want to put it this high. I don't know what else to say. This is just a great Ghost song, a great song in general. So that's what I got. Spillways at number 17. All right, next up at number 16, I have Too Old to Die Young by Hammerfall. Now, this is my favorite on their new album, and honestly, it's one of my favorite Hammerfall songs overall. Man, I don't really know why even, besides obvious reasons of, just a catchy chorus, fun, chunky riffs, it's just a really fun song. I think it's just Hammerfall doing their thing really good. I can't even describe it. This is just Hammerfall doing good. It's a really fun, catchy song. Whatever, that's what I got at number 16, Too Old to Die Young. Moving on to number 15, I have got Bad Man by Disturbed. Now, say what you will about the new Disturbed album, and I have a few thoughts. I've got a video coming up about some stuff like that soon. But the song Bad Man frickin' slaps. I love this song. I think this is the one really good song on their new album. And, it's a bit interesting. Their new album is very political, and this does seem sort of a politically charged song, but it's still a really awesome song. The main chorus just goes freaking hard. It really gives me Stricken vibes overall, which is good because I love Stricken. But it still feels unique. It still has some really good guitar playing. I forgot the singer, David Draymond. His vocals are absolutely excellent in this song. Yeah, I really like it. That is Bad Man at 15. Moving on to number 14, I have got Broken by Stradivarius. This album, obviously this was my number one of the year, and for songs like this, Broken, it's fun, it's fast paced, it's got an absolutely freaking killer chorus to it. I don't want to reiterate too much because that's kind of like the same thing for a lot of power metal and Stradivarius songs in general, but this is just a great song. I loved it. Yeah, Broken at number 14. And likewise at number 13, I have Before the Fall. Same Stradivarius. This is also a very, very excellent song. Once again, the main chorus goes hard. I love how it starts off quiet and it builds. I also love the like it just gives it even more of an anthemic vibe to it when there's like those kind of backing vocals that build into the chorus. Just Stradivarius is so freaking good, at least on the album Survive, at just building an intense, awesome, just powerful anthemic song. And so once again, Before the Fall, another great one from their album this year. Moving on to number 12, I've got another Blind Guardian song, and that is Deliver Us from Evil. Now this is the frickin' way to start an album with, oh man, Deliver Us from Evil. I mean, what is there more to say? This is just a song you gotta listen to for yourself. It just, the main chorus, just, Hansi is a freaking genius. It goes hard. It's fun. It's got diverse styles, but it's just, once again, it's Blind Guardian being fantastic. Not much more to say about it than that. Yeah. Number 11, Lady of the Dark by Sabaton. Another excellent Sabaton song from this year. As we're going on in this list and we're getting more songs from the same bands, it's hard to say more, but I'm trying my best. Once again, this is just another great Sabaton song. I love the story behind it. I had no idea about the story until I heard this song. It might be the best just straight up anthem that Sabaton has had from their album, the Raise Your Hand for the Lady of the Dark. Like, catchy as all heck, dude. Just makes for an absolutely powerful, excellent song. And so that's Lady of the Dark at 11. Moving on to number 10, changing it up after that long stream of power metal. Well, yeah, and we had Disturbed in there too, but you know, that song, Bad Man, is also, it felt almost close to a power metal song, so maybe that's why I liked it so much. But number 10, I've got The Dying Song by Slipknot. This is one of their singles from their new album, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was just a great mix of just the, you know, powerful kind of screamy, groovy stuff with some nice clean vocals thrown in there. That's just my favorite type of Slipknot, when they perfectly mix that, you know, heavy intensity that Corey Taylor does so well with some nice, just melodic, clean melodies thrown in there. And The Dying Song just did this incredibly well. Just great song overall, great music video along with it too, but that doesn't really count. But yeah, it's A Dying Song at number 10. Moving on to number 9, what better at number 9 than Patient number 9? Now, Ozzy's new album, I think it's very underrated already. And while there were plenty of good songs, the clear standout to me was Patient number 9. I don't know, this really just feels like a classic Ozzy song. It really gives me some No More Tear vibes. Jeff Beck is excellent on here. The main chorus sounds like it's freaking straight out of the 90s. I think it's great. This was awesome when it was performed live. And yeah, Patient number 9, it's great. In my mind, it's already an Ozzy classic. So that's why I got Patient number 9 at number 9. Moving on to number 8. This is my last Stradivarius song on the list, and that is Survive. Now, what better song to put at my favorite than the title track? Because this is just the absolute definition of how to do a frickin', power metal, fast-paced, just straight up banger. Like the whole "only the strong will survive." Just, man, there's no better song to work out to with than a power metal song. And man, Stradivarius, they have got some of the best freaking workout songs, let me tell you. Like, this one is an absolute gem. Once again, what more can be said about Stradivarius and their just excellent, consistent, powerful anthemic style? And I think Survive is the epitome of that. Moving on to number 7, I have got another Blind Guardian with Blood of the Elves. Once again, this is like Deliver Us from Evil. This is fast-paced. Hansi is absolutely excellent. And this one of the more, like, maybe heavier songs on the list. I think it might be the fastest song, although Deliver Us from Evil is really fast. I don't know. This one, it feels the most similar to Deliver Us from Evil, but it's got an extra little edge to it that makes me like it even a little bit more. But Deliver Us from Evil is already a fantastic song. So Blood of the Elves, great song. Not much more to say. So moving on to number 6, I have got Dreadnought by Sabaton. Man, this is a frickin' banger. My second favorite Sabaton song of the year. This is just Sabaton with their distinct style, but changing it up even a little bit more, going for a more slow, brooding ballad that also ends up being an anthem just by how kind of powerful and intense it is. It really gives you the vibes of a giant battleship slowly moving through the ocean and then ending up engaging in a battle through that strong chorus. Like, this is absolutely going to be a Sabaton classic and an absolutely great song overall. So that is Dreadnought at number 6. All right, moving into the top 5. This is where the big dogs are at. So starting off my top 5 with number 5, I've got Sainted by the Storm by Powerwolf. Now, this is the one single that I have on this list. And what a freaking good single, dude. This is just, Powerwolf, mix it with some, I don't know, like, piratey, like sailors sort of themes almost, and match made in heaven. Powerwolf meets sort of Ailstorm, more so in theme rather than style. But this is just a freaking great song. This is honestly probably a top 10 Powerwolf song overall. I have no idea if this is going to be on a new album, but I mean, if it is, then oh well. I've not heard anything about a new Powerwolf album, but if there is one, I'm still excited because this is just a freaking great song. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, the other single that Powerwolf did this year, I think it was called like My Will Be Done, I didn't think was so hot, but luckily we had this one to counteract that other kind of mediocre one, because obviously I think this is just Powerwolf at its best. So moving on to number 4, I have my favorite Blind Guardian of the year, and that is Damnation. Now, what can be said that's already been said? Blind Guardian, Hansi's vocals are excellent. They're fast-paced, they're intense, the guitar is fantastic, and this one, probably more than all the others on the list, is probably, of their albums, or songs on the list from their album this year, this is probably the heaviest. That was a mouthful, I'm sorry. But yeah, it's a great song. Frickin' Damnation, just go listen to it. It's excellent. The main chorus goes frickin' hard. It's heavy, it's powerful, it's everything power metal should be. Although not quite my favorite power metal song of the year, but pretty close. But moving on to my top 3, at number 3, I have got Respite on the Spitalfields by Ghost. Now, I think I mentioned when I did my Impera album review that Like, this was my favorite from the album. It was then, and I think I gave it like a 4 then. This is an easy high 5 now. This has grown on me even more. I think this is a practically flawless song. This is an easy top 5 Ghost song for me overall. I love the theme on this song. I love the whole Jack the Ripper vibe. I love the mix of the low, like, light kind of sing-songy nature of it, and then it goes into like even the it just, I didn't like it at first, but now I really like it. It gives it some creepy vibes, and then it goes into that just strong epic chorus, and I don't know, this is just, it's a ghost ballad, it's a ghost anthem, it's just a story given the unique, like, ghost style, and it's an absolute masterpiece of a song. So that is Respite on the Spitalfields at number 3. Moving on to number 2, probably the most controversial song on my list, because at number 2 I've got Yen by Slipknot. Now, I know that the new album is obviously divisive, and this is definitely a divisive song. Metal Trenches said that this was like a trash song. This is just, the lyrics are too cringy, that it's like just some weird, cheesy love ballad, and I have to disagree, because I think this song goes so freaking hard. Like, as I've said already with the Dying song, my favorite type of Slipknot stuff is when Corey mixes, like, the subdued, clean vocals with a heavy, intense part. And for me, the verses of, like, the nice, like, kind of quiet, foreboding, and beautiful, clean vocals of Corey Taylor just contrasted and so epically by when he goes into, when the knife goes in, cut across my skin, when my death begins, like, goes so freaking hard, dude. Like, it's not power metal, but, like, it might as well be, because generally when I think of, like, metal, some of my favorite stuff in metal is power metal, because just those epic, intense, fast choruses, I love how just heavy they hit, at least on just like a gut punch and emotionally level, not necessarily like a riff level. But Yen has got that emotional gut punch, it's got the heavy riff gut punch, and it's just got the intensity to it that I just love everything about it. I think it is fantastic. So that is coming in at number 2. Moving on to number 1, this is probably a pretty obvious pick, and that is Stormtroopers by Sabaton. Now, right when this song kicks off with the just the guitars, like the like, from there it's like, oh yeah, this is going to be a Sabaton classic, and it absolutely is. I mean, it sort of gives vibes of some other, like, really great Sabaton stuff that's come before. It gives me even some, like, Night Witches vibes, and in a certain sort of way. But Night Witches is my second favorite Sabaton song. Gives me some Fields of Verdun vibes, which is my favorite Sabaton song. So it gives me all the vibes to be like, okay, it's similar enough to my favorite Sabaton songs, but just different enough that it's not repeating. And overall, this is a top tier Sabaton song. And because Sabaton's my favorite band, it's also just a top tier song in general. So honestly, for me, it was an easy top pick for favorite metal song of 2022. But that is my list. Let me know, which of these songs do you agree with, which did you not agree with, what were some other metal songs that you really enjoyed from the year. Comment below any other video ideas you've got for me. I'll hopefully have a handful of more videos coming out soon in the future. I hope you guys enjoy your Christmases, and that is all I got for you. I will see you later.